Hi everybody. Okay, we're back with chapter 8 today. And when we left off the last time that we read about Chester and his new home that Mario found for him in Chinatown, the pagoda, and Tucker, very silly Tucker, he slept in the pagoda and he slept in money. So he used some of the money from the Bellini's cash register for his sheets and an earring for his pillow. And he felt like a king. So we'll see what happens in this next chapter. This is chapter 8, titled Tucker's Life Savings. So let's read. Chester Cricket was having a dream. In his dream, he was sitting on top of his stump back in Connecticut, eating a leaf from the willow tree. He would bite off a piece of leaf, chew it up, and swallow it. But for some reason, it didn't taste as good as usual. There was something dry and papery about it, and it had a bitter flavor. Still, Chester kept eating, hoping that it would begin to taste better. A storm came up in his dream. The wind blew clouds of dust across the meadow. They swirled around his stump, and Chester began to sneeze because the dust got in his nose. But he still held on to the leaf, and then he sneezed such a big sneeze that it woke him up. Chester looked around. He had been walking in his sleep, and he was sitting on the edge of the cash register. The storm had been a gust of air that blew into the newsstand. When the shuttle pulled up to the station, he was still choking from the dirt that flew around him. Chester looked down at his two front legs, half expecting to find the willow leaf. But it was no leaf he was holding. It was a $2 bill, and he had already eaten half of it. He dropped the bill and leaped over to the cricket cage, where Tucker Mouse was sleeping peacefully. Chester shook the silver bell furiously. It rang like a fire alarm. Tucker jumped out from under his blanket of dollar bills and ran around the cage shouting, "Help! Fire! Murder! Police!" Then he realized where he was and sat down panting. "What's the matter with you, Chester?" he said. "I could have died from fright." "I just ate half of a $2 bill," said Chester. Tucker stared at him in disbelief. "You did what?" he asked. "Yes," said Chester. "Look." He fetched the ruined $2 bill from the cash register. "I dreamed it was a leaf and I ate it." Oh, moaned Tucker Mouse. "Not a $1 bill, not even a $1 bill and a 50-cent piece. $2 you had to eat? And from the Bellini's, too. People who hardly make $2 in 2 days." "What am I going to do?" asked Chester. "Pack your bags and go to California," said Tucker. Chester shook his head. "I can't," he said. "They've been so good to me. I can't run away." Here's a picture of Chester, who has been frightened, and Tucker, who thinks that there's a fire. Tucker Mouse shrugged his shoulders. "Then stay and take the rap," he said. He crept out of the cage and examined the remains of the money. "There's still half of it left. Maybe we could put Scotch tape along the edge and pass it off for a $1 bill." "No one would believe it," said Chester. He sat down, still forlornly holding the bill. "Oh dear, and things were going so nicely." Tucker Mouse put his bedclothes back in the cash register and came to sit beside Chester. "Buck up," he said. "We could still figure something out, maybe." They both concentrated for a minute. Then Tucker clapped his paws and squeaked, "I got it! Eat the rest of it, and they'll never know what happened." "They'd accuse each other of losing it," said Chester. "I don't want to make any bad feelings between them." Oh, you're so honorable, said Tucker. It's disgusting. Besides, it tastes bad, said Chester. Then how about this? Tucker had a new idea. We frame the janitor who cleans the station. I'll take the evidence over and plant it in the water closet. He whopped me with the mop last week. I'd be glad to see him go to jail for a few days. No, said Chester. We can't get somebody else in trouble. Then a stranger, said Tucker. We tip over the Kleenex, break the glass in the alarm clock, and throw the small change on the floor. They'll think a thief came in the night. You could even put a bandage on and make out like a hero. I could see it all. No, Chester interrupted him. The damage we'd do would cost more than $2. Tucker had one more idea. He was going to volunteer to go over and swipe the $2 from the lunch counter, but before he could suggest that, the top of the stand was suddenly lifted off. They had forgotten what time it was.